Starcraft was never meant to be played the way Koreans played it. Let's take a look. Been playing a lot of Starcraft lately, guys, so let's take a look at this video.
At 37 degrees to the north and 128 degrees to the east, you'll find the heartbeat of the world's oldest premier esport. And on this day, October 11th, 2020, something unheard of in this game's 20-year-old history is about to unfold. Starting from now until the end of his tournament run, the greatest gamer of all time, Starcraft's undisputed GOAT, has decided to compete at the highest level using Brood War's hidden fourth race. Random.
Wait, what?
Free is going to be the first player to face off against a random opponent, and I believe it's about 19 or 20 years here.
Wait, so is he playing random in an actual tournament?
In a Star League, yeah,
yes, in a Star League. I believe the last player to play random was CHRH.
That's insane.
That was a long time ago, he switched to Terran. We're gonna go to Shakura's temple. It starts now. Flash versus Free.
In a way, I'm kind of sad I never got to watch any of like the Starcraft, Warcraft, like, you know, esports at its peak.
Long before the world could fathom a mainstream appeal for competitive gaming, Korean Brood War was the first to show widespread fanaticism for an industry that would soon become a global multi-billion-dollar phenomenon. It's hard to imagine that over 10 years ago, League of Legends would host its first World Championship event in 2011 with a prize pool of $100,000. And it's even harder to imagine that, a decade prior, Starcraft had already achieved that and more with professional leagues, corporate sponsorships, and nationally televised tournaments.
Starcraft was massive.
Korean Brood War is the granddaddy of modern esports. It may not have been the first game where you could go pro, but it's the first game where going pro actually meant something. Where being a pro gamer looked and felt like a big deal.
That's insane.
If you were a Korean citizen in the 2000s, you knew about professional Brood War, and you had seen it live on TV while flipping through the channels. After all, Starcraft had brought in an audience to the tune of millions.
Wait, that is actually nuts. Brood War is still huge in Korea. It's selling out venues to this day. That is insane. Starbucks in the chat, he's saying pro StarCraft 1 players would get all the hot chicks. Not even kidding. Yeah, holy fuck. I don't know why is it so big in Korea? I don't know why that's I guess they're just gamers there. It's their national sport, yeah. Because they're pro. I mean, Korea is true gamers. I will probably rate Korea like right below Scandinavia in terms of like god gaming skill. I think so.
Only a few years after StarCraft's release in 1998, you could find one legally purchased copy of the game for every 20 Koreans. So for many, StarCraft became a rite of passage. As one researcher wrote in 2002 while studying Korean gaming culture, and so begins the 3-year-old boy's initiation into the world of StarCraft.
Oh my god.
All this is to say that Brood War was, and still is, a contemporary cornerstone of Korea's pop culture history. It is literally the inflection point of Korea's transition into the digital era. And if you were to construct StarCraft's Mount Rushmore today, you could have many long, drawn-out debates about who deserves to be commemorated in the second, third, and fourth slots of the monument. But for the first position, without a doubt, there's one player whose inclusion would be decidedly unanimous. Lee Young-ho, or as most know him, Flash.
That's what you guys said.
Brood War is the granddaddy of modern esports. Flash is its son.
PC. I would love to see.
Korea is often thought of as an ancient land, but when it comes to modern technology, this is a very wide world.
70 years ago, South Korea lagged far behind the rest of the modern world. After 35 years of Japanese colonial rule, the country had finally reached independence in 1945 with the end of World War II, only to find itself torn in half by global power struggles. Entering the early 1960s, the country's economy was weaker than the likes of Haiti, Ethiopia, and Yemen, with over 40% of the country suffering from absolute poverty.
It's insane,
but from the 1960s through the 1980s, South Korea experienced rapid, oftentimes described as miraculous amounts of growth. Ready to compete in the global economy, Korean politicians decided that the country's next strategic move would be to become the future of a newly computerized world.
That's actually impressive as fuck. Like, that is crazy. I studied South Korean economics in the university. It's really cool. Yeah, that's actually really impressive from a country to come up like this. Like,
so at the start of the 90s,
Samsung is Samsung based in South Korea? Because, yeah, if it is, then it, yeah. Yes, yeah, okay.
A set of policies known collectively as Jungbohwa, or digitization, were put in place to construct Korea's new digital highway,
Samsung is South
the
Korea.
Korea Information Infrastructure. Soon, South Korea became one of the most well-networked countries in the world, but it wouldn't be until the 1997 Asian financial crisis that internet access would finally reach the masses. After many businesses suddenly collapsed, Korean entrepreneurs began to seek out a low-cost, low-effort way to bounce back. And they found their answer in the form of the PC bong, or what you most likely know it as, the internet cafe.
Ooh. I have actually never been to an internet cafe. It's something that I'm a bit sad about in a way, because I've never been. I used to go to LAN parties with my friends, but we would always go to each other's houses and we would like play, you know, we would literally bring our computers and then like game at like each other's houses, but we never went to an internet cafe. Yeah. It's kind of similar. Yeah, I would imagine. Guzu's privileged with his own PC.
From 1997 to 1999, the number of PC bong in Korea grew from an estimated 100 locations to over 13,000. And very quickly, young Koreans armed with an affordable internet option started to become netizens at faster rates than any other country in the world.
Yep.
Just like the government had hoped, computing literacy had skyrocketed. But residents of the PC bong were motivated to adopt the internet for a reason the Korean government had never anticipated. A reason that would be the consequence of this entire chain of events.
Okay.
Young Koreans clamored to play Starcraft.
So I guess for them, Starcraft and video gaming, I guess it's different nowadays because gaming is a lot more mainstream. But I guess it was like, if you're practicing for Starcraft, it's like, you know, you're a kid practicing football because you want to play in the big leagues, right? Starcraft is in your blood. Because when I was a kid, I always just played games for fun, which is really cringe, right? Like, why would you do that? But for them, maybe it's like you're playing games to, like, literally compete, you know?
When Lee Young-ho was in elementary school, he watched his older brother play StarCraft for the first time on their home computer. Intrigued by the game, he tried his hand at it. And so began his initiation into the world of StarCraft. Well, not quite. Shortly after Lee Young-ho started to pick up the game, his family decided to get rid of their home PC. And so for the next several years, Lee Young-ho paid little mind to StarCraft. But one day, just like every other Korean in the early 2000s, Lee Young-ho stumbled upon a professional match being broadcast on TV.
Yeah.
And this time around, something clicked.
This must be so cool, playing on a stage and like, fucking A. Boxer? That's Boxer?
Not long after, Lee Young-ho's family decided to buy a computer again. And immediately, like a moth to flame, Lee Young-ho found himself completely enamored with Brood War. From there on out, from every moment of every day, Lee Young-ho wanted to play StarCraft.
Yeah.
He'd play late into the night after getting home from cram school. He would run to the PC bong during lunch breaks to get extra games in.
Damn.
And when he couldn't play, he would daydream about the game, running through as many different scenarios as he could in his head.
Dude, that's how it was for me in school. I didn't go pro, obviously, at anything, but it was like, I just wanted to go home and game it up, man.
He wasn't just obsessed with the game. He was also becoming incredibly skilled at a remarkable rate.
Yeah.
Using the strategies he had learned from watching the pros, Lee Young-ho quickly began to climb the online ladder.
Yep.
And as he beat increasingly powerful opponents, he started to make connections in the competitive scene, finding skilled practice partners to play with and top player clans to join. One of which he would later memorialize as his chosen ID after it disbanded. Flash. And very quickly, Flash realized that he wanted to stand shoulder to shoulder with the very players that he had seen on TV. And so after having only played StarCraft for a year and a half, Flash decided to dive headfirst into South Korea's arduous pro gamer pipeline.
So nostalgic.
On the eve of his summer break, he convinced his parents to let him travel to Seoul. There, at the epicenter of Korean pro gaming, Flash would begin his journey towards becoming StarCraft's very best. But in order to get permission to go, he had to agree to a stipulation with his parents. Within a year, he would be drafted by a pro team, and if not, he would give up his dream for good.
W parents though, man. Imagine being a parent back in the early 2000s and your kid wants to play video games professionally. That must be so, like because that's weird, right? That's weird as fuck. They had faith in him. Yeah, as
Starcraft
Grubby.
was never meant to be played the way that Koreans played. It was never even meant to be played in Korea at all.
Okay.
In 1997, Blizzard Entertainment had just released Warcraft Orcs and Humans to widespread acclaim, with Warcraft 2 ready to launch later that year. Eager to expand their IP and solidify their position as the real-time strategy powerhouse of the 1990s, Blizzard began development on a new franchise, Starcraft.
It's kind of crazy how Blizzard actually made literally the best RTS games. Not even just one of them, but like multiple. It's so insane.
Starcraft, like its predecessors, was going to be a game fundamentally about war.
Old Blizzard?
Playing as one of 3 races, Terran, Protoss, or Zerg, you could harvest resources, develop infrastructure, and then build out an army of units to attack or defend.
They gave up? I don't know.
Every base and every army would have its own strengths and weaknesses. And by using clever strategy, you could find ways to outsmart and overtake your opponent. This is the game that Blizzard Entertainment intended to make. And for the most part, they succeeded.
Yep.
But once the game was released into the wild, it became apparent that Starcraft was even more than Blizzard's game designers had ever anticipated. No one can tell you exactly when Starcraft made its way over to the peninsula of East Asia, but once it did, it caught like wildfire.
Yeah.
Starcraft had launched with a free online matchmaking service ready to be embraced by the Korean information infrastructure. The game was performant and could run on almost any machine.
Perfect for LAN parties.
It was available on PCs, not Japanese consoles. And even though Koreans had a medley of other PC games that they could choose from, as opposed to one that hadn't even been localized to Korean at all, Starcraft offered a depth and charm to it that was viscerally appealing.
Yep.
It was a game that always had something more for you to do.
RTS is
an
addicting.
Expansive skill tree of small advantages that you could work into your play one by one.
I think one of the most addicting parts of RTS is that you can constantly learn. There's always something you can do better. For some people, that's extremely frustrating and can be a big turnoff. But if you're like a competitive person, that is like so good because there's always something you can learn. It happens in every game. Not every game is that extreme with it, I feel like. You know, obviously, like, you know, if you're playing other style of games, there's always like different things you can like, you know, do little by little. But like in RTS, it's so extreme. It's so crazy.
No matter how good you could get, there was always so much more Starcraft to be played.
Yeah.
And the Korean government was quick to observe this enthusiasm. So in the year 2000, the Korean Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism established KeSPA, the Korean Esports Association. KeSPA sanctioned professional leagues, issued and mandated pro gaming licenses, and upheld a strict competitive standard for professional play.
Wow.
From now on, pro gaming would be an institutionalized, government-regulated profession in Korea.
That's so insane.
And so if you were a young, aspiring gamer with a dream of becoming the best, there was now a path carved out for you to see if you had what it takes.
Damn, this was a cool video. I actually like this. For some reason, I got nostalgic watching it. Maybe it's because of all the CRT monitors and all the old school clips, but this is pretty cool. I like this. Goddamn government game. Yeah, I like this a lot. Holy shit. Korean here right on the era on matching the editing skills, not only great documentary, but also great in video itself as a historic documentary. Yeah, I like this actually. This was cool. Like, it was a little bit more like history lesson as well about Korea and stuff like that, which was awesome.